So let's talk about the durable power of attorney. What is it? It is the document that kicks in if and when you ever become incapacitated. So let's just dive right in and let's talk about it. I'll share my screen again. So just like before, we have a hypothetical client, Elmo, and I'm going to walk you through Elmo's power of attorney. So it talks about who is going to be the first person who steps in if you were not able to take care of yourself as a person, aka make arrangements for yourself. Let's say you need some kind of care, you need to be put into rehab, or you need nurses to come to your house. This is a person who's going to step in to make sure that you are well taken care of, able to sign any contracts on your behalf for your care, and of course, take care of your stuff for yourself. Now, whatever is put into the trust takes care of that, right? Because we talked about incapacity if someone has a trust and how that would work. This is now for those individuals that either don't have a trust, or for those individuals that have a trust, but there are things that are not put into it, right? And there's some things that will never be put into a trust. Maybe the beneficiaries are updated, but not the ownership. If that first person that you've named is not available, then it's going to be a backup, right? So then if you're not able to do the job, the person's secondary person who's stepping in, they're not able to step in, then it goes to the next. There is something called the default of designation. If all the people you have named are all unavailable, so they've either passed away, are sick themselves, or just don't want to do the job, then that is when O'Connell law, or our successor in interest, is able to put someone in that position. This prevents the court from stepping in and deciding who should be put in to take care of you and your stuff. This is kind of this, again, another level of protection. So we do not become your power of attorney. We are able to put someone into this role. So any prior attorney, power of attorney no longer applies. This is now the latest and greatest one. So the power of attorney goes into effect if either of these circumstances, which I'm about to discuss, happens. If two licensed physicians ever determine if you are incapacitated. Some people have a private determination, and they name specific individuals in their life who they trust to make this decision that they have now reached the point of incapacity. So that's who would be listed. If you don't trust a specific individual, or you don't feel comfortable having a specific individual with this kind of authority, that's when it's going to be two licensed physicians who will have to come to an agreement that you are now no longer able to take care of your stuff. So it says here that it can be due to prescription medications, due to age, illness, drugs, or any other cause. A court can always determine if you're incapacitated, or if you are ever jailed or disappear for more than 30 days, then this also kicks in. And the last reason, the last way, I should say, that a power of attorney can be triggered is if you yourself decide, I want this document to get triggered. I no longer want to be the one taking care of things. I want the person that I have named in this document to step in and take care of my stuff on my behalf, for my behalf. If that is the case, then there is this document in the very back of your power of attorney. The certification of authorization by principal. When you come in to sign this document, you're not going to be signing this particular page, the certification. You're going to be signing your power of attorney, but you are not going to be signing this last page. The reason is because this is the document where mentally you have capacity. No one could ever say that, you don't have capacity, but it's your own personal decision that you want to take a step back and have someone step in. In that situation, you would sign this, in front of any notary and it gets triggered. So that's for those situations. People will ask me, why would I ever need to do this? You know, when is there a time? This is if or when you ever need it. It's in the back of your power of attorney for emergencies. If you ever need to trigger it, a lot of people will do it if they have either reached an age where they're way too elderly, they have capacity, but they're elderly and they don't want to take care of their stuff anymore and be the one in charge. Or if someone gets a very terrible diagnosis where they have capacity, but they know they're going to be, involved with treatments and they're going to be ill and there's surgeries, then they're going to sign this as well, so that if they're unable to take care of the stuff, there's at least a seamless situation where the next in line can be able to step in and take care of everything. So what is in this power of attorney? So we talked about how it's triggered. Now, what exactly is this person able to do? This document is filled with power to this, power to do that. All right. The powers are all there, and some you may think make sense, and some you're like, this doesn't even apply to me. That's okay. We put in everything because we just don't know that when this is needed, what exactly is going to be needed to be taken care of at that time. So there may be many things in this document that do not pertain to you and your circumstances, but that's okay. We rather have it be full and encompassing, as opposed to something that is very restrictive, because you don't want to give a hassle to your loved ones to go to the court and get a specific permission. So you'll see here, so some of the things you probably didn't even think about, I just randomly came on this page: power to provide for my recreation and travel, power to provide for supportive dependents. This is very important for those that have kids. You want to make sure that there's no gap in making sure education and things like that are being paid for. So then you have power regarding insurance, you have power regarding retirement plans, you have power to operate businesses on your behalf, power to manage digital assets. It goes on and on. I was just randomly scrolling. Digital assets, just because I'm on here, this talks about anything that is online. So this is talking about all online stuff. So read through this, scroll through this, and let me know if you have any questions. But you'll see there's just plenty of powers in here. And if something doesn't make sense, I'm happy to talk about it when we meet. Now let's talk about healthcare proxies. Just as a reminder, a healthcare proxy is a document that gives guidance to healthcare professionals in regards to who you would want to step in to take care of you and all your medical decisions if you were unable to speak and talk to the doctor yourself, and say what you would want in regards to treatment, etc. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to walk through a healthcare proxy. Okay. So again, it just tells who you are, where you live. Remember, for all of these documents, the address if you ever move in the future, it's not going to invalidate your document. Anywhere where your address is listed is just to give further identity to who you are. Your address is forever going to be linked with you, right? So for some clients, if it bothers them a lot after they move, we're happy to update documents and have the new address be put in, but just know that just because you move and your address is something different, it's not going to invalidate this. All right, so 1.01. This is designating that person, it's also called an agent, who is going to be stepping in to make sure that you're taken care of. This is the person talking to the doctors, this is the point person making sure that you're getting the proper treatment, etc. So typically there's a first, then there are backups. Okay, so now at this part, this is where I tell clients that so far I haven't mentioned who should get what document. This is a document that you should give a copy to the people that you've listed as agents. Just because if there is an emergency, they should already have it on hand. I strongly, strongly encourage you to please give a copy of this to your primary care physician so it's put up into the cloud as part of your medical record. People sometimes ask me, what if something happens to me and I'm taken to a different hospital? Like, how will they have it? Just know that even if family members are not able to get somewhere quickly, or you don't have a healthcare proxy, yours in your hand, doctors and hospitals, the protocol is that they will always reach out to primary care physician to get access to your medical records. It's important for any treating physician to know what medications you're on, what are your prior diagnoses, what's going on with you. So they always get that information. And if this is part of your records, how fantastic. Okay. And when I always recommend too, is before you give it to the doctor, handwrite people's phone numbers. Okay, so in this one, let's use this as an example. So I would tell Alamo, make sure you handwrite Big Bird's cell number. Make sure then you also handwrite in Oscar's, the Grouch's cell number. You would just add it right here. Okay, you just write it in, and the one with the phone numbers, give it to the doctor. This healthcare proxy is not going to expire, and it terminates either if you revoke it or if you pass away. You are giving your agent the authority to do acts all related to your personal care, residential placement, and medical treatment, anything that agent determines to be appropriate. Okay, and we're making it clear, including but not limited to the things that are specifically named in this document. This is a very robust document, but there could be things that could be missed, and we just want to make it clear that this person is allowed to make decisions about everything. Okay. For as long as you lack the capacity to make or communicate healthcare decisions for yourself. We're also making it clear that as long as you have capacity and are able to partake in your own medical treatment, your agent is instructed to discuss with me the specifics of any proposed decision regarding my medical care and treatment if I am able to communicate in any manner, even if it's just blinking my eyes. All right. And if it just talks about exactly what the agent can do in regards to consent. And if the agent cannot determine a treatment choice I would want, then the agent should make the choice for me based upon what agent believes to be in my best interests. Okay, you're making it clear you want to leave your family and friends and people who are taking care of you with assurances of love without the burdens of guilt or conflict. And you're hoping that the agent is going to be able to make, again, we make this list, but it's making it clear it's not just pertaining to this list. So medical treatment, surgery, amputation, CPR, administration of pharmaceutical drugs, all those things are included. Now we're going into more detail. They're authorized to select a facility for your nursing or for your long-term care or for rehab. They're allowed to make arrangements and do whatever is necessary to be able to keep you in your own home. Majority of our clients, when we talk to them, they want to stay in their own homes for as long as possible. It's very important that we put this in a healthcare proxy for this reason. But we're also making it clear that for as long as it is reasonable under the circumstances, okay? You realize that your health can deteriorate and it may become necessary to have round-the-clock nursing care if you remain in your personal residence. So you're just you're directing that your agent has the authority to do what they need to make this happen as long as it's reasonable. Your agent has access to your medical information and medical records. I'm going to be talking about the HIPAA as well, but this goes hand in hand with that. It's making it clear that it's including but not limited to physicians, dentists, chiropractors, therapists, etc. It goes on and on. This person is allowed to employ and discharge healthcare personnel, nurses, doctors to take care of you. They're allowed to make decisions about your pain relief. They're allowed to consent to psychiatric treatment. They're allowed to grant releases. Again, talking again about the HIPAA, that if you have sign the HIPAA, you're granting the agent the power and authority to serve as your personal representative for all purposes that are listed in the HIPAA. If for some reason something goes to court, you're telling the court that you are nominating to be your spokesperson, the guardian. You nominate the person that's listed on this document. Any third party can rely on the instructions and decisions of your agent in regards to your treatment. And God forbid, if something bad happens to you, your agent is allowed to sue on your behalf. They are allowed to go to court and get a judgment. They're allowed to ask for damages. You're releasing your agent from any personal liability. If your agent pays for anything out of their own pocket, you are saying that they're allowed to get reimbursed for that. Copies are just as effective as originals. If you travel or you move to a different state, this is making it clear that this instrument, this healthcare proxy, is to be honored in any jurisdiction. You reserve the right to revoke this either orally or in writing. And if you have any prior older healthcare proxies, once you sign this one, this is now the latest and greatest one. So that is your healthcare proxy. It's a very, very important document, which is why it's not just one page. There's multiple pages to this. Take a look, read it, and again, let me know if you have questions on it when we meet. So we talked about the healthcare proxy, and now we're going to talk about the HIPAA. The healthcare proxy tells the doctor that this is the person who is going to be making my medical decisions. This is the person you have to go to ask, should I do this or should I do that? The HIPAA is a document that gives the permission for that individuals that are named in your healthcare proxy to get access and to your records, and that thus be kept in the loop. This is the document that otherwise there are strict privacy laws and things in place for your medical records. No one is allowed to call the doctor and ask them what medications you're taking, what are your medical conditions. No one is allowed to know any of these things. Only you have the right to know this. This document is saying that the individuals that you have listed in your proxy, or just in general, anyone that you want to make sure that they're allowed to be kept in the loop, they are allowed to be kept in the loop. We have it including but not limited to a bunch of different people, so physicians, chiropractors, pharmacies, ambulance services. I mean, there is a whole list here. And you will see that this document actually terminates 2 years after you pass away. Why is this? So actually 2 big reasons. So one reason is the reason why we put all of these different things in here, and 2 years, it terminates 2 years after you die, is because often people are having to reach out and get information because they're dealing with medical bills. So of course it's important for the healthcare proxy agent to be kept in the loop so they can make well-informed, wise decisions about your care and your treatment, but then also just making sure that the bills that are coming their way, that they're legit. And if they feel like they need to get more clarity, they're able to reach out to these people and to these institutions and get that clarity that they need. So that's why even after someone dies, there's still bills and things that need to be taken care of. The other thing is if some harm has been done to an individual and someone has opened a lawsuit, your healthcare proxy agent on your behalf, you want to again give them some time to be able to do that. So then that also is why it terminates 2 years after your passing. It's saying that you understand the information that's in this document by signing it, and that any authorized people that are listed on this document have the right, again, this is just making it clear that they're allowed to sue. So they have the right to bring a legal action against anything, not only if harm is done, but if someone refuses to accept this authorization. This document can be copied, it can be given to multiple places if needed, and each copy will be considered just as good as an original. You're waiving this document by signing it, you're waiving any right to privacy regarding this, and it conforms to the laws of the United States and Massachusetts. So again, this will apply anywhere, but it's just making it clear how was it made. So with this document, the other one, the healthcare proxy, I said, please give it to those agents and give it to your doctor. This document, do not give it to anyone. Let them know that it's part of your estate plan and you have it, but you don't need to give it to your doctor at this time, and you don't need to give it to those individuals. If and when an emergency is needed, if someone needs to gain access, they have this and they'll be able to use it at that time. All right. They have this, meaning they know where they can find it along with your other documents, and then they're able to get it from there and give it to anyone that they need. But you should not be giving this to individuals today, right now.